Hello, welcome to the Record Celtic podcast. My name is Daniel Coe. I'm delighted to be joined all the way from Stuttgart by Record Sports' Michael Gannon and Ryan McDonald. Guys, how's it going?
All right, not bad. Not long. We're not long landed actually. Early start this morning, up with the lark. Just got to a hotel.
Lovely.
Aye, good Nick.
How's the weather?
Well, the sun's meant to be busting through the skies tomorrow, but just now it's pretty dull and grey. But no complaints, glad to be here.
Aye, it's not quite flip-flop weather, but it's all right.
Aye, nice one. Better than here. It's pouring
It's
down.
very similar, to be fair. It's very similar. Far away anyway, so it's pretty similar.
You guys are obviously there ahead of the second leg against Stuttgart in the Europa League for Celtic on Thursday night. We'll come to that, obviously, but plenty to talk about before then. I think the best place to start, guys, probably Sunday's defeat against Hibs. The one talking point which has been talked about a lot, Austin Trusty's red card. I'm going to dive right in. How did you guys see it?
To be honest with you, I don't think he's got any complaints, really. I mean, I know it's kind of subjective, and I know some people are seeing it's like the old kind of that thing with the dress, where it's a green or is it gold and all that stuff. People see it the way they want to see it. I thought the force they used was disproportionate. I know people say it's like this thing happens at corner kicks all the time, but you don't see people getting karate chopped at corner kicks all the time. I thought he used disproportionate. I mean, listen, I think Jamie McGrath made a bit of a meal of it.
Yeah.
But it's right. The only thing is, it's right in front of the referee, so he's got a better judge of the force than anyone, and he never bothered his backside at that point in time. So that's the only caveat.
Yeah.
I think you see it again, you think, oh, it's a wee bit over the top, really, to kind of hit down, swipe down with that kind of force. So I know Celtic appealed it, and it might be that I can't see them being successful, to be honest with you. But for me, I thought he was risking a red card, and yeah.
For me, it was a bit of just a kind of moment of madness. It was just a bit of head loss again from Trusty. I think am I right in saying that's happened before with him this season? There was definitely an incident where he kind of reacted in a similar fashion. Perhaps not a karate chop, but he did react angrily to being kind of man-held at a corner kick, and I think he'd get away with it.
He won the halfway line at some point. He was getting a tough half of run, and he kind of bundled somebody to push somebody over on the halfway line and get away with it because it was a halfway line.
So, I mean, I think, to be honest, I think the referee, from what I've seen, he was going over basically to break the two of them up. And then VAR has obviously intervened. He's got a second look at it through the TV replays. And to be honest, I don't think you can have any real complaints once you see what happened with the benefit of VAR. So it was just a moment of head loss, a moment of stupidity, and he'll regret it, because if Celtic, as we probably expect, fail their appeal, then he's out for the Rangers game. That leaves Martin O'Neill with a huge headache at the back, because you've got two inexperienced defenders now in Dane Murray and Benjamin Arthur, and one of them's going to have to be lobbed in alongside Liam Scales. So he's not only cost his team against Hibs, but he's also left him with a huge problem going to Ibrox.
He's been a silly boy. I mean, I think away won in the League Cup semi-final against Rangers when he left his boot in. Yeah. No, I know there wasn't any force in that, but he got away with that one a wee bit. And you sometimes think that football and karma, sometimes catches up with you. Yeah. And he never got away with this one. Again, but he caught out at Tynecastle as well. Listen, he is an absolute enigma.
Yeah.
Austin Trusty, when he's under the cosh, I think he's a good siege defender. Seen it in Europe. Yeah. When he's switched on, he can be very good. A good box defender when there's balls coming in. But he's capable of moments of complete and utter kind of mind loss when he completely brain freezes. So it seems to be when he's good, he's very good, but when he's bad, he's pretty woeful. There's nothing in between with him. I think, but he's cost his team big time. If he doesn't play at Ibrox, he's cost his team big time.
Like Mick says, the strange thing is, in certain games in Europe, I'm not being funny, but he's imperious. I mean, that game against Bologna was outstanding. It's one of the best, if not his best performances in a Celtic jersey.
Atalanta.
Him and Liam Scales at the back. But then, fast forward to domestic duties, and it just seems a bit of I wouldn't say a behind bombs here too much, but it just seems pretty vulnerable at times. And it's as if, it's a night and day performance from how he performs in Europe to how he deals with the domestic demands. So, but at the same time, listen, Celtic, with the benefit of hindsight now, well, perhaps not with the benefit of hindsight, I think a lot of people were perhaps surprised that they didn't go and sign a more experienced centre-back with Cameron Carter-Vickers ruled out for the season. But Now this is what they're left with, as I said, Dane Murray 22 and Benjamin Larfer, who I think's only played 4 senior games in his entire career. So they'll just have to make do with what we've got. But it's I think Trusty will look back on that and hopefully his lessons will be learned.
Another example of Celtic cannot do anything. They can't do right for doing wrong. They bring back Stephen Welsh from his loan spell at Motherwell, where he's been fantastic all season. Playing a cup tie, can't go anywhere else apart from Motherwell. He takes a huff, ends up back at Motherwell, and meanwhile Motherwell have got a better defensive record than Celtic this season by far. I think 10 league goals less than Celtic this year, and Celtic are now going to Ibrox with the prospect of a young Dane Murray who he's been good at times, but in a couple of Bobby League games, Tynecastle early in the season was one of them, and you get Benjamin Arthur, who we just don't know. He's played 1 or 2 games for Brentford in the cup, not a league game. He's played a bit of a game for Celtic. And then going to, Ibrox, one of the most intimidating atmospheres in global football. And you think Celtic got, and then Stephen Welsh is 26, and people talk about Scotland in World Cup squads. Is it currently on Motherwell, who could end up finishing above Celtic the league, by the way it's going. So it maybe just sums up Celtic's season. Like everywhere they turn, they seem to be walking into walls.
Just to finish on the Hibs game, there was a couple of other contentious moments. Liam Scales definitely looked like he was due a penalty with 15 minutes to go. Jack Iredale just about removed his shirt. Are we in agreement that probably was a penalty?
I'm not too convinced, to be honest.
I think if it's given a penalty kick, I don't think VAR's not going to overturn it. But so that's why VAR's not involved, because it's probably subjective. I think it probably is a penalty kick.
Yeah,
I would say that was a penalty kick.
We've seen them given to me. But to be honest, I'm not entirely convinced. But if it was given, then I wouldn't. I don't think there'd be too much debate over it. But at the same time, I'm just not entirely convinced that it was a clear and obvious mistake to go to that.
Yeah, it's another example of kind of desperation stakes that Celtic were kind of found themselves on the weekend. And listen, I don't think Celtic played the worst they've played in the last 6 weeks against Hibs. I thought at times, the second half for 15 minutes, I thought they were pretty good. And then some first half wasn't so hot, but maybe 10 minutes before half time, then after half time, the substitutions I thought didn't help the team. Obviously, Chamberlain at a gas was a big loss. And then the red card, obviously, there's no way back from that point. And Celtic just happened to find themselves against a better calibre team, and having struggled against poorer teams for weeks, get punished by a better team. And that's the worry for Celtic, because they're now getting a spell where they're playing against better teams, and they've shown very little signs of form or confidence or cohesion, or not very clinical in either box. Their defence is now porous. So it's just another example of a bad day that's been coming for Celtic, I think.
Yeah,
it's been on the post, that one.
Yeah, the performances have been well filmed, well below expectations and standards, especially. I think there's been a drop-off even from when Martin Neil first came in his first interim spell to now. Just getting by with lucky kind of last-minute winners against the 3 kind of worst teams in the league. I think your luck was always, I said lucky, that's not the right word, but I think your luck was always going to run out. It's in Celtic's DNA to fight to the final whistle, and they've done that. And whatever way you kind of flip it, you can say that's the make of champions. But the performance levels certainly haven't been, title. It doesn't scream out to me as if that's that they're going to be title challengers. So, they've got a huge make or break 3 games coming up now. Rangers at Ibrox twice, with Aberdeen, Pittodrie sandwiched in between. And see to be obviously Stuttgart on Thursday, but the way Celtic are playing, I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but you wouldn't rule out Celtic losing all 4 of them. The way they're playing, and that's why it's the biggest one. Because the performance levels have just been so poor, and like Mick says, they've just. I think there's issues all over the park. You've got a keeper who's making blunders almost on a weekly basis. You've got a leaky defence, which is now without, a £6 million defender, Austin Trusty, and they're going to have to throw in, as we said, 2 guys that have barely kicked the ball. You've got a midfield that is constantly getting overrun, and we've said this for months. Benjamin Negan, I tell you what, if it wasn't for his 18 goals, you wonder where Celtic would be without him. But the same time, him, McGregor, and it's been Engels who's played mostly. They just, I don't think there's enough dynamism in the middle of the park. I don't think there's enough legs. I don't think there's enough energy. I know Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's been brought in to perhaps provide something different in there. But he's still taking a while. He's still taking time to get up to speed as well. Like Mick says, he kind of run out of gas, which is expected at the weekend. But yeah, and then up front, they're just powder puff. You know, they're just. I think Kelechi Iheanacho's the top scoring striker at the club, and he's got 3 goals, and he's been injured for half the season. So that kind of really tells you where Celtic are at the minute. I think all these issues which I've just listed there, I think are kind of catching up with them. And you've got to be honest, you feel sorry for Martin O'Neill, who's a 73-year-old, and he turned 74 at Ibrox on Sunday. Celtic visit Ibrox on Sunday. You know, you've got to feel sorry that all this has kind of been put on his shoulders to the rest of the season, because all these problems are nothing to do with him. This stretches all the way back to the start of the season, which we've discussed many a time. So I think this is effectively, if Celtic can get through this period, I mean, I without, you know, perhaps losing at Ibrox or slip up at the Todger, to be honest, I'd be astonished.
But look, I'm actually tired of hearing myself say it, but it goes back to the January transfer window as well.
Goes back way before that, Daniel. Way before that.
Of course, but I mean, Mvuka couldn't even get on the bench the other day. Where was Adamu when they were looking for a goal? I mean, they've really, for want of a better phrase, stitched Martin O'Neill right up. I mean, I wonder what he thinks privately, because it's astonishing how just over a year ago this Celtic team was taking Bayern all the way. And look at it now.
Yeah, listen, but you're now seeing a team that is now on its third manager of the season, third way of playing, and it's lost all sense of kind of identity or structure. I don't know what the game plan is with Celtic, apart from try and get it wide quickly and get the ball in the box.
Yeah.
That's all I can see at the moment. I don't see any proper pressing. I don't see any counter pressing. I mean, you're saying now that it's going to be, I mean, Callum McGregor and Oxlade-Chamberlain middle of the park with Nygren. You need to play Nygren because he's only on a goal threat.
He's only one up score.
None of those 3 are going to be pressing midfields. None of them. Nygren isn't going to his locker. You're not going to have 2 32-year-olds running about chasing Harry and midfielders down the middle of the park. So instead of going to get the ball forward quickly, that means you need to win second balls. But if you're not going to have these guys who are falling up to win the second balls, you don't win them. This is what happens. They're not winning second balls, so they get nowhere around the middle of the park. So they're not. So they can't. They're still going to get the ball to the wide players. The wide players on their day, I think, have been all right at times. I mean, you're talking now Yang and Tuneki, which is the same ones before the January window, because obviously the Vickers come in and he's not caught fire at all. But Yang and Tuneki are pretty flaky. I mean, they're all right at times, but you can't bank on them every week, producing the goods. And up front, Sanchara, jury out. I mean,
one goal and 7.
Looked okay at times, holding the ball up, but he doesn't look like a poacher. Adamu, he scores his back heel against Dundee to rescue the Scottish Cup tie, but the following week it's hooked at half time. Didn't look great. I'm the same. Mavuka's nowhere to be seen after 45 minutes. You just think the January window. I mean, I think that's the thing about Celtic, for all the sins of the first half of the season, they could have actually repaired some of it in January.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Look now that they've actually done none of the work done in January. I mean, Araujo is the one I think is definitely enhanced the team.
He's a player.
Yeah, he's the one that's actually done. The rest, jury well and truly out on them.
And the irony is with Araujo, he was Will Fernandes on the signing.
Aye, yeah. It's, but listen, I think the fact that the Hearts have started dropping points in recent weeks, Rangers have dropped points in recent weeks, it means that they're still in the race. But they've lost 7 games this season. I mean, they really shouldn't have been in the race.
Yeah.
But the margins of error are now getting so narrow that Celtic probably need to win 9 out of 11 games at least to have any chance. Can you see this Celtic winning 9 out of 11? I mean, I can't at this point in time. But the flip side is I can't see Hearts and Rangers winning 9 out of 11 either. So it could be that it might not be require that. I just think there's so many, like you listed them there now, I just don't see how that can all be fixed to get through this period. I mean, listen, I think obviously the Rangers game, 2 games against Rangers. Aberdeen, I think Aberdeen are honking this season. Let's be honest, they're trying to see the season. I think they're still looking for a manager. They seem to be counting down to the summer, so they should be able to beat Aberdeen and Pittodrie. They've been pretty rotten. But the 2 Rangers games Rangers are a bit flaky as well, and they're losing goals again. But you just wonder how Celtic are so easy to play against. But you can set up a way that will cause major problems for Celtic.
I just don't think you can. At this moment in time, I've seen no evidence at all that supports Celtic winning any game. Predicting Celtic to win any game.
The only thing is, Martin Neal's record as manager is actually stacks up in the same amount of games against the Rangers and Hearts. He's picked up more points. He's picked up 34 points out of 39 or something like that, which is incredible, really. But the caveat to that is a lot of these games in the second spell are games against the bottom teams. Celtic haven't beat a top 6 team in the league since, apart from Falkirk, since well before Christmas. Rangers, Hearts, Motherwell, Hibs, not managed to beat any of them.
You're right, aye.
Play them again after the split. So this is what we're basing it on. You're doing the maths and you think it doesn't add up for Celtic at this point in time, despite the fact they're in that top area.
The last time Celtic looked convincing in the league, I think, was actually when Martin Neal first came back against Dundee United and they blitzed them 4-0.
Aye.
When was that? You're talking January.
First week of January.
Yeah. We're approaching March and they've not been able to hit anywhere near those heights. As I said, I just don't think you can back Celtic to win any game at the minute. I actually think Pittodrie, people are saying that's a banker. I don't think so. Under the lights of Pittodrie,
none of them are banker right now.
They've got under the lights of Pittodrie, I know Celtic get a good record up there as well, but it's always a tough game getting up there. It's always a tough game. You never know what the weather's going to be like. You don't know what's going to unfold over the next couple of days against Stuttgart and Rangers as well. So there's a whole range of things here that could change. So I don't know. I think for me, Celtic, they need to at least leave Ibrox by a draw, and they have to win at Pittodrie to have any realistic chance of winning this title. I think after the split, you look at it, they'll have Hearts at home, they'll have Rangers at home, and I think they'll have
Motherwell at home.
Motherwell at home. So I think those are the 3 games which, if it comes down to it, you'd think that Martin Neal, you wouldn't rule out Martin Neal masterminding 3 wins out of that. So that they've probably get the kind of set of fixtures that are upcoming post-split compared to Rangers, who have 3 games away from home, including Tynecastle, Celtic Park and potentially Fir Park. So when you look at it that way, I don't think you can totally rule Celtic out. But I think basically these next few games are make or break. I think the whole season's riding on it. And I think it's imperative. I think basically Sundays must not lose.
But that might weirdly be a better situation for Celtic at this point in time, because it's not a must win, but it's a must not lose.
Yeah.
Which might make the game plan slightly more simple. It might mean they can be a bit more cautious, defensive, and try to find a way to frustrate Rangers more than anything else and try and hit in the break. So that might, rather than having to build the game and be on the front foot, because that's not really been working for Celtic of late. So that might be in their favour, that they can go there and just try and see it out. But defensively, Celtic haven't been great at that, really. Anytime they've been put under any kind of pressure in prolonged periods, they've tended to kind of buckle a wee bit.
Yeah.
I know they held out for a long spell against Bologna, but they did concede eventually twice, and they are hanging on for dim life at the end. But it's that kind of defensive display might be required. And Rangers, when they have to go and force a game, listen, I don't think the Rangers are any great shakes this season. And a lot of Rangers fans will say the same thing, but they're hanging in there and getting results. Sometimes not very convincingly either. And they're also leaking goals again, having for a while looked as though they were that Danny Rowe had fixed that at the back. So they're getting a bit leaky at the back. They've had issues up front as well. Missed a lot of chances against Livingston, didn't they? So it's a kind of it's 2 drunks fighting over a balloon this weekend. But I just think Celtic. It's just a concern.
What I think should give. I mean, this is very doom and gloom, but the flip side of this is what I think should give Celtic inspiration that they can get a result is, like Mick mentioned there, although they did concede 2 goals in Bologna, it was a back-to-the-wall performance, and they did come out with a precious point, which ultimately helped them qualify for Europa League. So there's a lot in that game, and they came out of it, you know, with 10 men as well. Let's not forget, had they had 11 men on the park, it could have been a different result. And then you look at the I know it was Martinelli's first spell, but he did, you know, against all odds, beat Feyenoord 3-1 in Rotterdam. So Martinelli and Celtic are capable of pulling out that sort of result, and that's why. And how many times have we seen Celtic Rangers teams go into derbies in dire form and then come out with the bragging rights at full time? It happens so often.
Not that often.
Well, I mean, Rangers have done it many times over the years at Celtic Park. I'm thinking, there you go, Barry Ferguson beating Brendan Rodgers at Parkhead.
Yeah, but Celtic were 16 points ahead at that point in time.
I'm thinking.
Rangers 3-0 at Ibrox that season,
3-0. I think back, if you go even further back during Gordon Strachan's spell, I think Walter Smith and Alex McLeish got one. You know, dire Rangers teams came to Celtic Park and won.
That's the Celtic one at Ibrox, again, 1993, 94, that kind of era. But yeah, it's not. It happens again.
I mean, even Martin O'Neill. I think about it. John Hartson scored that goal just after half time. I think it was literally 10 seconds after half time. And Celtic were completely depleted. They had their injury crisis. Nobody backed them. I think the defensive injury crisis. They came back. They won 1-0. I think that was in 2004.
I don't think it's like Rangers aren't in that great a form to say that they're like absolutely the overwhelming favourites to go and win 4-0. Like, it's not like when Brendan Rodgers went there a few years ago, and it's a case of how many. It was like, is it going to be 4 or 5, or how many do they want to make it? It's not like that. So I don't think the clubs are more evenly matched, but Celtic are in a bit of a ramshackle state right now. So it would be a surprise to go and get a result. But I don't think it's quite at that level. It's not like Graham Murray against Brendan Rodgers, that kind of thing.
I mean, Rangers are undeniably Rangers are favourites. They've got home advantage, which is why they're probably favourites. Had they been at Celtic Park, perhaps Celtic would have been.
Well, they won comfortably, I suppose, the last time at the Parkhead. Albeit that was the kind of the wild and wacky times of Wilfred Nancy. But by the way, it's been 3-0 at half time.
Aye, exactly. Aye. Well, look, on the team itself, I mean, I know the team for Thursday night's game will be much changed, but for the game at the weekend in particular, would you guys take Kasper Schmeichel at the firing line?
What? we know what Ryan's stance is.
I think if you listen to my thoughts in Hotline Live after the night, I think my thoughts are abundantly clear on that one. Listen, I keep saying it. He's had a remarkable career, a career that most footballers can only dream of. I think he's been one of the finest goalkeepers of his generation. He's got a glittering CV, a Leicester City Premier League title-winning legend, 120 odd caps for Denmark. So he has been an outstanding goalkeeper. But for me, I think he's just gone one season too long. I think had it not been for the potential to play the World Cup as a potential swan song this summer, I think my hunch is he might have hung up the gloves last season, at the end of last season. Since he had that injury back in April when Sinisalo came in and covered him, and then obviously he had that blunder in the Scottish Cup final. For me, he's not been able to recover from that at all. There's too many mistakes that's been creeping in his game. I think you're looking at least 10 or 11 mistakes this season, which I think it's unacceptable for a Celtic number one. And Sinisalo, I don't think he's. To be honest, I'm unconvinced he is the solution between the sticks, the long-term solution. I think he was brought in on the promise that he could potentially take over the gloves from Schmeichel when he retires and succeed him between the sticks. But I don't know. I think he's still got a bit to prove in that front. But he is a Finland international. He did okay last season when he came in. I think he's 24, so he's no rookie. For me, he must be sitting there thinking, what is it going to take for me to get my chance? And I get it would be a massive gamble throwing him in at this crucial period of the season, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him handed a start against Stuttgart on Thursday night. But for me, I just don't think Kasper Schmeichel, even his distribution, which which has always been one of his greatest attributes, his distribution is just so sloppy now. I don't think he commands his area. I think his reaction times are far too slow. I think he clearly has an ongoing shoulder issue because he's been taking injections. Whether that's impacted him diving low to his left, I'm not sure. Only he can tell us that. But for me, I think I look at it across the city last season. I know it wasn't much to play for, but Barry Ferguson changed Jack Butland for Liam Kelly, and Butland, no matter what he says, probably benefited from the time he had on the bench, basically just to recharge and get himself together, basically give him a kick up the backside. And I think Butland's probably one of Rangers' better performers this season. So I'm not saying drop Schmeichel for the entire season, but I definitely think you could do with a spell out. And the big question is whether you do it in this crucial run of games. For me, I would, because I think there's a mistake in him.
See, the problem is that you mentioned Jack Butland. That was form. I don't think this is form. Casper Schmeichel. I don't think you look at the goals he's seen. He's not spilling things or running through his legs or. It's all things that it's mechanics, it's body mechanics. Yeah. It's his feet not moving quick enough, not getting down quick enough. His reactions for long range shots. These are things that his time is catching up with him. I think Nine's right. I think it's an ideal chance to put in Sinisalo in Stuttgart this week. And if he performs, he'll be a busy man. Put it that way.
It's an addition for him.
He's going to be a busy man against Stuttgart, and that might be good for him. And even Celtic could beat, which I think most people would put money on. If he does well, it might be the springboard into the game. Played at Ibrox last year. Sinisalo, a couple of things this season. I saw him at Livingston. I thought he was a bit shaky, but he's done all right at times. This should be a big opportunity for him against Stuttgart. Get in, do the business, and if he does, I think Martin will get. The only thing I would say is that O'Neill will want his experienced players on the pitch at Ibrox. And if he'll think if I can get just another couple of months out of Schmeichel to get us over the line, he might. I suspect he will stick with him. To be fairness,
I suspect he will as well. But if that's what I would do, I would definitely.
Excuse me, that's what he'd be thinking. I need the experienced bodies on the pitch because he's not got a lot of experience. And it's like squad a lot of lone players, a lot of guys that don't want to be there, guys who are probably going to leave in the summer. They're running out of contract. It's not your crack squad at this point in time, and he's a guy who's heading potentially towards the last months of his career. Maybe we drag himself over the line. So would that what I do? I think you got to stick with him in the meantime and hope that he can keep himself going. But I get that point. It's too many goals now getting through him. If you're playing against Celtic, you just think shoot guys the box.
I mean, that's it.
Have a shot and you get a chance to hit the back of your net.
Mike, you and I were at the game on Thursday. How many times did Stuttgart just look up and launch a shot?
Well, the 3 shots and goal are 3-1 up at one point.
This is what I mean. Yeah. So the opposition know that he's vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's getting
to shockers as well.
It's getting to the stage now where you hit an effort on target and it's most likely going to be in the back of the net. I mean, what do you think, Dan? Do you think you should stick a twist?
Well, look, I kind of, to be honest, he's got the experience, and you said, Ryan, kind of sticks in my head. I don't know if Sinisalo is the answer. And Schmeichel, for all his faults, he has made a lot of faults, as you say. He has actually still pulled off a couple of really good saves in recent months. There was one at Tynecastle, there was one late at Falkirk. I just think maybe it's the wrong time to take him out. But look, I couldn't argue if he was taking it.
Yeah, but it's a big decision. There's plenty of them to be made this weekend.
But I think what Mick says kind of is spot on. I think realistically, I don't expect him to be dropped. I think Sinisalo will get his chance on Thursday, but I think on Sunday, Martin will go with the most experienced team.
Especially if he's got a kid at centre half. Not a kid.
You're going to have a defence centre half pairing which you probably never played with one another before as well, going to an environment like Ibrox. So I think for that reason Schmeichel will start. But for me, Sinisalo, he must be wondering what he has to do to get another game.
It's a double-edged sword Celtic as well, because you can see the defence has lost a bit of faith in the goalkeeper as well. Yeah. And it's never been a goalkeeper that came for cross balls anyway, but you see him getting a bit deeper. And by getting a bit deeper, you're inviting shots for the edge of the box because by nature you're sitting off it. So it's a kind of catch-22.
What I will say is, and I have mentioned it, I think Martin Hill's mentioned it in his press conference, but Schmeichel clearly is nursing an injury, an ongoing shoulder issue, and he has been taking regular injections to deal with it. So, by the way, he deserves credit for that. You know, if he is playing through the pain barrier, fair play to him.
Well, he's not trying to chuck in goals.
I mean, exactly. I mean, he'll be disappointed at his end. He's set such high standards throughout his career, and he'll be as disappointed as anyone at his form. I'm sure he'll be determined to bow out in a respectable fashion, but it's just unfortunate where this season's unfolded for him.
I saw a wee clip. Remember Ben Foster, the goalkeeper, sitting Man United's bench for a while. Went back to Wrexham at 40, didn't he? And he was talking on his podcast a while ago about his last few games, and he says that a shot came in, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He's going down to save it. He was trying to work out his head in a split second to beat it away, to catch it. And he says, I looked up and the ball's the back of the net, and I couldn't work out how it got beyond me. And it was just because his mind and his body are no longer in sync, because at some point your age catches up with you, and your body can't do what your mind wants to do. As we all know what happens.
We all know.
So it looks to me a bit like that with Kasper Schmeichel. It's not nice to see, because it's like watching a boxer going 1 or 2 fights too many. And it's just telling you hope that you can get through this next period without any more whipsies.
I mean, the final thing on Kasper Schmeichel, I mean, I found it deeply uncomfortable listening to fans booing him on Thursday.
Yeah, I think that's, regardless of what you think of him, that's out of order.
I think that a guy of that stature, I think that must have been an alternate low point in his career. I know it happened against Rangers as well, but that was a real significant section of fans where that happened on Thursday.
Yeah.
And there on Sunday, in fair play, there was a section that applauded his first touch, almost to try and show some unity and get behind them. But I don't think that should happen at all. You know, at the end of the day, like Mick says, it's not as if he's meaning to chuck goals in. He's just going through a bad spell in his career, and yeah, that wasn't nice to see.
No, I'll tell you, it's not pleasant getting booed as a goalkeeper. I know it well. It was my manager that was booing me, and my teammates. So it's not that. But listen, plenty of guys at Celtic have been booed. Neil Lennon get booed in a European Cup, a European semi-final.
I know.
For failing to pass the ball backwards. So it's just a frustration. It's been that kind of season. Celtic fans' patience is very much at the end of the line now. I think Sunday actually might have been kind of almost the kind of final straw, I think, for some of them. But they need to hold firm for another few weeks.
Very last thing, guys. I mean, obviously we've mentioned Stuttgart. That game will take care of itself, I think. But looking forward to the game on Sunday. If you're watching this, you'll be able to see the league table on your screen. You said, I think you both agreed that Celtic need at least a draw at Ibrox to stay in the title race. Do you think?
Yeah, must not lose.
Do you think they'll get that?
As I say, you wouldn't be surprised if they do. I mean, I just think I know Trusty hasn't been great, but I think with these type of backs to the wall games that it could potentially be, I think you will be a big miss, and especially with the alternatives at centre back. I think that is a big issue for Celtic. But listen, I wouldn't be surprised if they came away with a draw. I don't expect them to win. I think the Scottish Cup fixture the following week could be a completely different story. It's different. It's a kind of winner takes all scenario. But we'll get to that next week. But in terms of this week, in terms of this Sunday, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of came away with a draw. And I think Martin will probably bite your hand off for it.
Yeah, it's potentially could be another silly one, couldn't it? It could be another. I mean, we get quite a lot of silly Old Firm games. I think there could be another one. It could be a 2-2. It could be something silly, because there's a lot of pressure. There are a lot of guys who are a bit flaky. 2 defences that are ropey. There's going to be pressure on the match officials as well. So brace yourself for that storm that's going to come down the pipeline.
John Beaton and
you can set your watch by some kind of VAR storm. So I think potentially could be quite silly. What I would say is I don't think you can separate this one from the cup tie, because very often when you have these double headers are so close, one rolls into the other one. So if you get gubbed in one, you tend to gub the next one as well, because the pressure's intensified. If you get a good result in the first one, it can kick on to the next one as well. In terms of going to Ibrox twice in a week, if something can pull off a result at the weekend, Rangers fans are not going to be too chuffed getting the cup tie. So you could turn it about, and there's also the full Blue Moon stand, the Celtic fans, that kind of stuff. But and the flip side, Celtic are doing on Sunday, like you're predicting getting something up at Pataudry, they go back there. It might not be a positive experience the following week as well. So I think it's all linked. I think these two games are as they always are, these double headers. They're intrinsically linked, and I think this first one is going to set the tone for the second one.
Yeah, like Mick said, I think the narrative of the season rests on these 3 games coming up, because if Celtic collapse, there's going to be an inquest. Fans will be up in arms like never before. If they win, then it's game on. It's game on. So it's a mouth-watering 10 days ahead, and I can't really wait to see what unfolds.
Very last thing, guys. Predictions for Thursday and Sunday. Put you in the spot. How's it going to go?
Mystic Mick.
Oh, well, I'd be good. Get some good coupons up this year, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Thursday, I would be putting the entire mortgage on a fairly comfortable Stuttgart victory. It depends how they play it. I mean, listen, we're going to go talk to the Stuttgart manager and Honus and his players tomorrow. I guarantee they'll be saying, "Oh, the tie's not over. Treating Celtic seriously." They might put out some changes as well, because if they're through, right? So they're in the hunt for a Champions League place in the Bundesliga. If they're sensible, they go and play it smart and rest a few big names and see out without too much stress. Celtic just need to get out alive. I mean, if they get a sore one, if you're Martin O'Neill, I think you've got to rest Kieran Tierney. Yeah. You've got to give Callum McGregor a break for once. You've got to Rojo. You've got to keep it away from him as well. Ideally, you would have rested a Scales or a Trusty in this one, but they can't. I think that as for the rest, I think you've got to play Shankara, try and get him a goal, try and get him something to get him going. Obviously, Mavuka's not in the squad. I think you play Taneki and try and get him a spark. But apart from that, I think you rest some of these guys, and I'm not saying you give up the ghost, but you go and give the guys a chance to go and play yourself out this team for Sunday. But I can't see it apart from a comfortable Stuttgart victory, to be honest with you.
I mean, for me, I think there will be changes. I think Sinisalo will start goals. I wouldn't be surprised to see Donovan get the nod at right back. I think Saraki will come in for Tierney at left back. I don't think they'll put Murray in ahead of Scales or Trusty at centre back. So I think that pairing will be solid. Midfield, Callum McGregor, I was speaking about it just on the way to the hotel. He's been an ever present this season. 44 games he's played this season. So there comes a point where you need to take him out. You need to give the guy a rest. He's 32.
He's a machinery.
But at the same time, he started against Auchinleck Talbot, so I think he'll start against Stuttgart. So I can see him starting. I think Rio Atati, Paulo Bernardo will probably come in. Obviously, Oxlade-Chamberlain is he's not registered in the squad. I think Ben Nygren. I mean, I said at the start of the podcast, I don't know what you would do without his goals. So you're going to rely upon him heavily at Ibrox. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come out. And then in the wings, I think Taneke, he needs to kind of get rid of this super sub tag, and he needs to start influencing games from the first whistle. So I think that's an opportunity for him. Yang in the right probably, and then Big Tam up front. As I say, he's only got 1 goal in 7, so he really needs to find his shooting boots. And if he can get a goal against Stuttgart, then that'll do him the world of good going to Ibrox. So with all that in mind, I think a heavily rotated team. I can see Stuttgart winning by 2 goals to 0.
In terms of Sunday, I mean, we're talking about playing Arthur or Dave Murray. Is there a temptation maybe to play Kieran Tierney?
Kieran Tierney, perhaps, no?
The only thing I would say is that the Rangers, I mean, we don't know how Nadiri's going to be if he's fit, because he's a big lump of boy, and I think you need physicality up against him. Sharmiti is also a big lump of boy. So if it wasn't those two, you think, well, you could put Tierney at centre half and play Saraki left back, and you get the experience of Tierney in there, has played there before. Or does he go to a 3 and have Tierney in there alongside to make it a bit more robust? I think that might be a temptation.
Oh, I was saying shivers, didn't it?
Well, no, but it's not. But Wilfred didn't actually play a back 3. Put a back 1. With a back 1, aye. With a back side. But if you play Tierney, Scales, and Dane Murray as a back 3, you're actually playing an old-fashioned Martin O'Neill back 3.
Aye. Well, a back 5 almost.
Saraki and Rojo, it's a back 5, or you could do 4-4-1-1 and Negri off the top and try and have an extra midfield player in there. Do you put Saraki in the middle of the park against Rangers with a bit of legs in there?
See now you've said that, Mick, I think that will be a temptation, the 3 at the back. I could see that.
I think you'll be thinking about it, because if you're going to go with the young lad alongside Scales, against if Rangers might go with 2 up top as well. They might go with somebody and.
They did that against Hearts at home. They went with
So I mean that's going to be. I mean, and they'll not be shy to get the ball into areas in the air either. So I say Sunday, my prediction is Sunday's going to be a daft one. I'm going to go for another one of these silly 3 each ones. Because I think we keep building these games up. Well, this is a game that's going to define the season, and you go, oh, actually, they get beat. Oh, Hearts drop points, and Rangers, or then the following week they go and get beat the following week. Like Celtic could go and get beat and go and win in Pittodrie, whereas Hearts slip up the following week, and or Hearts don't beat Aberdeen, and it's like actually nothing's really changed. They're going a bit of that as well. So I mean, we're building up with do or die, which might not actually be the case.
I just think Celtic need to get out there with a point at the bare minimum. I really do. And I think if they are to put Tierney at centre back, I don't think you would go with as a 4.
I want to think Kirk isn't it now?
So if they were to go with that, I don't think it would be a 4. You know, with Tierney and Trusty, and then the 2 fullbacks either side, because Tierney's really played in that system. It would have to be the Scotland system, similar to that, 3 at the back. But for me, you know, I don't know. I think this is maybe a conversation for another podcast, but I just don't really think this formation suits this current Celtic team anyway. I think it looked pretty dysfunctional in it. But whether you switch to 3 for the first time going to Ibrox, I'm not so sure. You might be tempted to do it tomorrow night as a
Stubborn run.
So you might actually be able to read into exactly how Martinelli's thinking with
It should be going 5-4-1, 5 at the back, 4 midfield, with Negan up top on his own. and someone needs to tell him, Negan, every time you ask him about being a striker, he's like, oh no, I'm not a striker. I'm like, tell you what, you're doing what you're told. You're going to be a striker. You're still getting goals. You're in the penalty box half the game. You're a striker. He could do that. I mean, he could, if he's going to be trying to get a point, he can go 5-4-1 and play Negan up top, which is, I think, wouldn't be the worst idea in the world.
I'm going to sit in the fence with Mick. I think it could potentially be a 2-2 draw. I think Celtic would take that.
It's going to be 4-3 to Celtic, guys. There you go. You can take that to the bank.
7 goal thriller.
I must admit, I mean, obviously we're on the Celtic podcast, but I can't see any other Rangers. I must admit. But again, they're flaky as well, so who knows? And it's getting to the point, it's getting a bit tense for everyone.
Aye. Well, look, whatever happens, we'll be back next week on the Record Celtic podcast, brought to you by NordVPN, easily the best VPN for watching all of your sporting events when you're abroad. But for now, Mick, Ryan, enjoy Stuttgart.
Cheers, mate.
That's good, because we can get my NordVPN turned on for the night, so I can watch.
So we can watch what, mate?
My Coronation Street.
Perfect time.
I don't like missing my soaps. So I can tune into my British TV from up here. So that's perfect for me.
Perfect, nice one.
I think the young team might go out for a bit of socialising, but I'll be tucked up.
Aye, quite right, Mick. Hope whatever you do tonight, guys, it's all good, and I hope it's a cracker for you on Thursday. Thank you very much for watching and listening at home. We'll be back next week. Cheers.